everybody, this is Alan. I know it's been a while since I last made a video. Uh, Sorry about that. Been really busy. YouTube is not my primary gig. I have been really busy with my full-time gig, and I know a lot has happened in the world, in the news. I'm going to try to get through just some of the key points and not fumble through it too poorly and not spend too much time on any one item because there is so much going on out there. I'm going to try to work with the most recent and work backwards. So without further ado, here we go. Today, President Trump sat down in the Middle East and signed the ceasefire peace agreement with Israel and all those players in the Middle East. Big to do, nice speech by those involved, and it appears that that multi-point plan that he laid out is now in effect. Hostages have been released and have been returned home. Don't know if all of them have been returned. I know they're all been released, but I just don't know if they've all been reunited with their families. But that's a big deal. That is a very big deal. And my hat's off to President Trump and his administration for brokering that. All my life, peace in the Middle East has always been a very big subject. And being 46 years old now, it's no less of an important topic than it was when I was young and first started paying attention to everything that's going on in the international community. So, my hat's off, round of applause for the Trump administration for getting that done. Marco Rubio, he's been doing a great job as Secretary of State. I didn't support him when he ran for president, but now that I do live in Florida now and have for several years, and I've been paying closer attention to the officials in Florida that are in Congress, because I started getting back into politics just a little bit more so than I was, say, a decade ago. But now I'm getting more and more back into it. Politics has annoyed the piss out of me, and I'm tired of everything that's going on. But I've been impressed with Mr. Rubio, Secretary Rubio, and what he's been doing as Secretary of State in only 9 months into the job. So I look for more good things internationally from the administration. They're really hitting it on all fronts. So another big, I don't know if you would call it big, but there was some wishful thinking, and maybe even some had some expectations that President Trump was going to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, in which he didn't. Some say he was snubbed, and I think the committee said it awards it on character as well. I'm like, okay, well, on character as well as accomplishments. Well, there has been people that have done far less for peace that have gotten it. That I do know, and I've been hearing the clamoring ons from both sides, Republican and Democrat, that was a sham, that he should have got it. Obama, he didn't do anything and got it, and I've heard the Democrats say that he didn't even deserve it. He hasn't done anything to promote peace. So it's neither here nor there. He didn't receive it. Now, I do know this, with overachievers, highly skilled people that are, especially overachievers, they really don't need recognition. I know President Trump, he's got a little bit more ego about him than most people. So, that might mean something to him. But me, if I was into consideration for it, I'm not into symbols and recognition or spotlight. Never have been. And even though it is, something very honorable to receive, I wouldn't care one way or another if I was to receive it, if I was a contender or not. because I know what my accomplishments are. I know what my contributions are to society, and and how that affected humanity. So why do I need the recognition? I don't. So no big deal there. I remember a George Carlin skit where he said, I can't remember exactly what he was talking about, but he said, these are symbols, and I leave those to the symbol minded. And well, yeah, for me, a lot of that is true, but there are certain symbols that I do hold in high regard, such as the American flag. I think that, should be highly respected because that represents home to all of us in the United States. The U.S. of A. is mother to us all, and that is the symbol of the United States, our Constitution, the path that we've been on since our inception to present day, all our struggles, all our accomplishments. We're not a perfect nation. No nation is, but we've done a lot for the size that we are and the age that we are as a country to have done the things and to make the contributions to society that we've done as Americans. It says something about America, and I think that flag should be well respected. The Christian cross, I don't think that, I hold that in high regard as well. It's tattooed on my arm, so there's a certain moral that I live my life by, and it's the moral of dignity, respect, and love. And to me, that the cross represents that, and how we should, look at one another, how we should treat one another with dignity and respect and love. So, that's why I hold this, the Christian cross in such high regard. Okay, back to the news. The shutdown is still shut down. Both sides of the aisle are pointing fingers like they always do. Congress is good about pointing fingers at the other side. I don't give a damn. I know every Republican has voted. I think we had one Republican that didn't vote with the party. I think there was one Democrat that didn't vote with the party. They need to get it done. They really do. And I applaud the president and Secretary Hegseth on getting troops paid. But there's other essential government workers that do need that paycheck. They don't need to be furloughed like this. And I know they will get retroactive when they come back to work. But for the Democrats, the negative aspect of this is President Trump is able to go along and eliminate programs and personnel just unilaterally because there's no budget. So he can start making cuts on his own, and that'll have to go back through the approval and the approval process through Congress and with the votes and the money and getting it applied and directed. And so I did an experiment because I know the Democrats are holding out just because of the healthcare subsidies. I did an experiment. I'm self-employed, and I don't have an employer to pay half of my premium on my healthcare plan. So an experiment that I did, I wanted to go out and find the best plan for me. I went to the marketplace, Obamacare or whatever it's called, and I input all my information, and it spit out a number. I'm like, okay, and I got to see all the plan benefits, the limits, deductibles, copays, all that. And then I found a private plan, not within that marketplace, and same thing, got a number with a deductible, maximum out of pocket, copays and everything. Well, the marketplace, the government, Obamacare, wanted $725 a month for me. Twice the out of pocket, twice the deductible of the private plan. and with twice the copay of the private plan. The private plan was $450. $450. With half that deductible and out of pocket max and half the copay. Like, wow, still $450. That's quite a lot, unless you have like a heart attack or something major going on. I haven't been sick in more than a decade. I do have a neurological disorder that I do take daily maintenance medication for. So, I have that doctor's appointment and that medication. And even at $450 a month, that's still what, 10 times, 12 times my annual spend if I was to pay cash. I'm like, oh wow. So yeah, that being said, the that spend amount is just it's hard to reconcile, and so that just gives a little bit of credence to those persons that are saying that their insurance isn't affordable. Speaking with my daughter, and through their company is like $50 a week, and she's like, "Dad, that's tough to afford." I'm like, "Yeah, if you didn't have a car note, you'd be able to afford the insurance." She's like, "Yeah, but I needed a very dependable car. I was back was kind of up against the wall." I said, "Well, this just goes to show you that if you're able to have a savings account, no matter how much you're able to save each week or each check, put it in there and live frugally. Don't live outside of your means." And so, even at that, I talked with a couple this week that um, they think that their rent's going to go up $100, and she's like, "No, we can't afford that. It went up 100 last year, and we can't afford that." And I was like, "Damn, I'm hearing from everybody that rents are going down and real estate prices are going down." Um, I was like, "How are they able to raise the prices and keep renting the place?" So I did some investigating on that, and well, yeah, I found rents are going down and sales prices are going down. I'm in the real estate industry as well, professionally. So, but I don't pay attention to the rental market. I do in commercial, but not in residential. I do trade single family portfolios, but I don't really pay attention to it. If the rent's going up and down per quarter, per annum, I just see what the portfolio is yielding, and if it makes sense on some other metrics. So, yeah. So other topics. This is going to be a little bit contentious. I know it is. A grand jury has indicted James Comey, and a grand jury has indicted Letitia James. Letitia James, we all know, the New York AG that ran her campaign on going after Trump, and went through many different hoops. Some say she had a lot of executive help in that department on getting him convicted on what a lot of people on the right side, the Republican side, say was a total, it was made up. The crimes were not crimes. They had to kind of rewrite laws in order to convict him of all these felonies. And she lied on a mortgage application to get a more favorable rate. Yes, primary occupancy, you get a better rate than as a secondary home or an investment property. And when that transfers over to homeowners insurance as well. So if she's got homeowners insurance, I'm curious to see if she's got it listed as a primary residence or as a second home or investment property, because that's going to be another area of fraud if she misrepresented there too. But I do remember when all these things, lawsuits against Trump were going on, the left was unanimous and nobody is above the law. Even though this was more or less an accounting error, a line item error, it wasn't anything as big. Was it 84 counts? I still don't. I can't make heads or tails of it. It doesn't make sense to me. But that was the big talking point, was nobody's above the law. Well, now the shoe's on the other foot, and Trump is going after his political opponents, is what I'm hearing the left say now. And on the heels of that when Democrats retake control, they're going after everybody that helped Trump do this. Well, the Democrats set the precedent on, imprisoning and trying uh, officials. So they've done this before. Ever since I was a teenager, I've seen where Democrats would create a precedent, and then the Republicans do the exact same thing that Democrats did, and Democrats get all pissed off about it and want to talk shit. And well, it's happening again. They created a precedent. Republicans are doing it now. I will say this: any elected official or FBI director, we'll get to him in a minute. Any of these top level positions, whether you're in the Supreme Court, Congress, the Senate, you're in the state House, state Senate, mayor, governor, state AG, state DA, doesn't matter to me. Yeah, you've got to be held accountable, and I think your punishment should be more severe because you're in those positions and you know better. Because I know me and you, as regular folk, they'd have us pinned up against the wall in a heartbeat if it was us, and we wouldn't. There's nothing we could do about it. So, all of our officials that are getting indicted, I'm sorry that it's come to that, but I'm not sorry that there's no more looking the other way or slapping on the wrist. And being above justice was something that was in Trump's first term, and then everything going down with Hillary Clinton with the emails and all that bull. Yeah, I think playtime's over, and I think us as the American people, Democrats, Independents, Republicans, we should all be saying that, hey, you're our leadership, and if you do this, we're going to nail you. Not only are you going to be charged, if you're convicted, you're going to lose your position, and you're going to be ineligible for any state or federal office ever again, whether it's elected or appointed, and you should be getting a mandatory maximum sentence. I'm tired of the big players, kind of getting off scot-free or the slap on the wrist. Only when a head needs to roll do you see somebody go to jail or prison. So it's too much of that. 2 tiers of justice is the thing during the Clinton campaign. And yeah, there has been. Our government officials, they got 1 tier of justice and everybody else has another. It's not right at all. And I think the government officials should have the same damn health care that everybody else has. They voted for this damn government health care, but they opted out of it because they could. But while they imposed a fine on anybody else if they opted out of it, that's not right. And I said it then, when the Obama administration was on the heels of a 17-day or a 13-day shutdown trying to get that bill passed. So the government shutdown needs to come back open, and the clamorings that Schumer's not going to open it back up till after the 18th. There's a No Kings March rally protest something in Washington, D.C. Here in about 5 days. If that is why he's not relenting on his position, excuse me, then that says a lot about him. It really does. I asked myself this question earlier. It was self. If all of Congress, the House and the Senate, if nobody was eligible for re-election, would this shutdown be even happening? Would it? Because I'm still waiting for term limits. I've been talking about that my entire adult life. We need term limits. Okay, segue back into James Comey being indicted for his lying to Congress, perjury, contempt of Congress, something. Too long, too many people have ignored congressional subpoenas and not appeared or lied when they were testifying before Congress. I remember Jason Chaffetz in one of the committees that he headed up. I saw him issue subpoenas because people would not appear on their own. So he had to sit there and issue subpoenas. Like, why? I hold testimony before Congress as the same as I do any court. And it should be viewed upon as such. And yes, it has their own rules. Contempt of court, perjury, all that applies. So I know there's other people being looked at. Um, yes, the Department of Justice did review stuff, sent it over to a grand jury. The grand jury chose to indict. Nobody can influence the grand jury. It's an impartial group of secret persons, sort of. But they're, looking at the evidence, they decided that there was enough evidence there to move forward and charge and indict Mr. Comey, same as Letitia James. But I know there's a lot more people that they are looking at involved in the RussiaGate hoax, and ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what it was. It was bullshit. We all know it. It was smoke and mirrors. It was. Hillary was wrong. She did wrong. Obama did wrong. The entire Department of Justice did wrong to Trump, including tapping his campaign and listening to everything. That was absolutely horrendous. Never before in history has something like that happened. And now I wouldn't say that I'm a Trumper. I haven't fully drank the Kool-Aid. I'm not drunk on it. But the man is doing good. You got to give props where they're due. He is doing good. He is. So I know there's a lot of people that don't like him, and that's okay. I was questionable during his first run. But after seeing what he did in his first term and missed all the adversity, I was like, I think I can take the good with the bad on this one. And I voted for him in 20 and in 24. I look at every candidate. I do. And everybody's got the chance with me. Now, coming into the next, presidential election, the Republicans have a mighty deep bench of people that they can pull up and run. Democrats, not so much. They have gotten squarely in position, they doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on these positions that we see in the news every day that are wildly unpopular, other than just a fraction of the country. I mean, small. Democrats, yeah, you're going to win those votes. You're going to win your diehards, your base. But what the Democrats need to win are the independents. They don't have to convert conservatives. They just got to win the independents. And there are independents that are likely going to vote Democrat anyways, just because they're more liberal independents or moderate independents might vote Democrat, but those that are moderate and conservative are going to vote Republican, and those are the ones you need to win. You don't need to win the black community. You don't need to win women. You need to win the independents. And they're not speaking a message that the independent base is growing. The space between the two parties is getting bigger. So they need to win the independents. Not to tell them how to run their party, but I would think about America first, what would benefit America and the American people, and not what's going to give money to whatever, so me and my friends can reach into the cookie jar through our NGOs and pull out money from the American taxpayer, which a lot of that is fraud. And that brings me to another point. I don't think any member of Congress or their family should be able to win any government bid, whatever it is, because we all know there are a lot of programs out there that get thrown a ton of money. By the time it reaches the end user where it's actually intended to go, 70% of it's gone, 60% of it's gone, because the company or companies in front of those people are pulling out money, for management fee, executive, fees, and they're not doing shit but just passing it along to another company. So it's like hot potato, but everybody's getting a piece. So Comey's been indicted. I'm sure other people are going to get indicted too. I don't foresee the RussiaGate investigation ending anytime soon. Letitia James, my prayers are with everybody that was wronged. If Tish James and James Comey are indeed found guilty, it embarrasses me, to a point to be an American. But I'm a proud American. I'm going to remain a proud American. But just for something like that to go on, if they are exactly guilty of it, was like, how did we get to that point? Where the director of the FBI and a state, what was she, an attorney general, DA, whatever, um, was able to do such illegalities unnoticed and unchecked. We have oversight committees at the state and at the federal level to prevent this type of shit. We've got checks and balances to prevent this. So why not? Okay, whatever. Off of that soapbox. Charlie Kirk still in the news. They have, on the heels of the announcement of the Super Bowl halftime show, they are going to be hosting their own All-American halftime show. I saw that and said, hey, that's interesting. Now, and I thought a lot about this. I haven't watched pro sports in most of my adult life. Pro sports just got boring for me. And I stopped watching all the pro sports. I would tune in to the Super Bowl. Then I was paying less attention to the Super Bowl and worried about, eating and having a good time, drinking beer, whatever. Made sure I watched all the commercials and the halftime show, and then kind of halfway paid attention to the second half. But that eventually faded. I haven't watched the Super Bowl in 10 years, not even the halftime show. I think the last halftime show I saw was Eminem, Dre, and Snoop Dogg. Now, thinking about the Super Bowl in America, who's the largest base of viewers? Gen X, millennials. You got some boomers that are still watching, and you've got some Gen Z that watch, but the largest chunk of viewers are Gen X and the millennials. So, why did we choose the musical act for this year that we did? I don't know. Jay-Z's in charge of that. And it would make sense to me if I was holding the position that Jay-Z does. I would look at who sells the most tickets worldwide. That's an American-based musical group, band, singer, sells the most tickets worldwide. And I would look at those most popular ones and then go through historically the American-based who's been the most popular, because the NFL's American sport, like baseball. And, I think, those acts should be American-based. And it was like, well, what about Queen? What about the Who? They're not American. They're huge in their own right, same as the Rolling Stones, but not American. They're not. I'd be fine if Tupac and Biggie did the halftime. I'd be perfectly fine with that, because Gen X and millennials, we listen to all kind of music. All kind of music, because when we were growing up, the peoples we were all blended together. We were, and there's not a Gen X or a millennial that I know that can listen to Garth Brooks, fall behind Run DMC, Aerosmith, Eazy-E, and back and forth, Cypress Hill, Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's the way Gen X and the millennials are. Well, we hung out with everybody. We listened to everything. So Jay-Z had the opportunity to get some of the biggest names. Taylor Swift, I don't know if that'd be the exact best choice, but she's a huge artist. Metallica is also huge. Okay. They're still active. The Black Crowes, phenomenal. I wouldn't go as far back as getting Skinner or ZZ Top or any of them. They're well in the past, even though there is some functionality there. David Gilmour's English, and his songs are 10 minutes long, so he wouldn't work just because of both of those. No, James, it could have gotten Guns N' Roses, could have gotten Luke Bryan or Jason Aldean, Joe Bonamassa, Derek Trucks, anybody in the blues field. Anything that Gen X and the millennials, are really going to jam to. They're real big artists that are selling out stadiums worldwide. Taylor Swift, like I said, I don't think she'd be the most appropriate. She sings our music's for teenage girls. unless she's changed. I don't know. None of my kids listen to Swift. I had one daughter listen to Bieber, but that was short lived. But there's plenty of country acts. There's plenty of rock. There's plenty of blues that's out there that Jay-Z could have chosen from. There's R&B. But having a halftime show, not even in English. Yeah, so I think that's kind of why Turning Point did what they did, and they're announcing that show, alternative All-American halftime show. I think they're promoting Christian music. I understand why they would do that, but I don't know if that would be best either. I think they should take a more secular approach, without obscenities, so it's family friendly. No gyrating, no cuss words. Because we all remember the wardrobe malfunction with Janet Jackson and JT. That was something. There's plenty of good acts that they could have done it, that are American based and are huge names. But Jay-Z, I don't know what you're doing. The NFL, I think, is going to be on a decline anyways, just because of what they've been doing over the past years. They're going down the same road as Disney, but they're just not going down it as prolifically or as fast. I know they've been kind of on this trajectory for about 10 years. Hell, put Rick Rubin in charge of halftime show. He's produced many different artists of various genres, and I think he'd be Mr. Rick Rubin would be a decent person to select it, because he's done all kind of acts. Tool, another big act, but yeah, their music's way too long. They'd only get through a riff 3 times before the halftime was over. They're like Pink Floyd. Their music's way too long. Same thing with Dream Theater. But I wouldn't put Slipknot up there. That's a little too much. That's a little over the top. Same with Motley Crue. Yeah, but there's still plenty of huge acts that whites, blacks, Hispanics, and Gen X and Gen Z and a little bit of the millennials. We can all jam to, whether it was Garth Brooks or George Strait or Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, any of the country, any rock, hip hop, from that era, because we're the base. But anyway, yeah, I don't watch the World Series. I don't watch the World Cup. I don't watch any of it anymore. But yeah, that's it. Working backwards. I think Comey was about the oldest story that I had to touch on. And what wouldn't be a show if we didn't talk about ICE. ICE around the country. Looks like Memphis, they're making headway. Memphis is not making the news. Really, it's not. I had to go look for news about ICE in Memphis because it's not popping up anywhere. Well, the citizens of Memphis are not showing their ass like those in Portland, Oregon are. I know Portland, Oregon is kind of a world all on its own, like San Francisco, but we all know you challenge law enforcement, you will lose, and it's going to hurt probably, whether through pepper spray or tear gas or getting arrested, tackled, whatever. Don't, and I said this last episode, just don't let them do their job and complain to the elected officials and let them battle it out. You doing that is not doing anything but exacerbating the situation. It really isn't. You're not going to stop them. I don't care how many of you are on the street. You are not going to stop them, and they're far more well equipped than you are. So for your own sake, please stop. Same thing as in Chicago. And this goes back to the elected officials in those cities and states as well. WTF are y'all doing? What? Get out there and help them. It's partly your policies that led to it. Maybe not yours directly, but collective from the people that held the position that you're in prior to you being there, and that you reinforce. I don't know, do you got some promise from your party that if you hold this line, you're gonna rise in the ranks politically and become rich or something? Or if you don't hold this, they're going to turn the drip off. Why are you holding to such wildly unpopular policies? And if you are the one of the people that are okay with the illegal immigration, I propose a new ballot measure for the next election, and we should put that on the ballot for the midterm election. If you're okay with it, okay, how many migrants are you going to open up your home to support? Kind of like hosting a foreign exchange student. How many are you going to commit to? If you're for it, be for it, and house the people yourself. None of this, not in my backyard, garbage. But illegal immigration, I don't believe in that either. International law states that if you're seeking asylum, the first country you come to is where you go, not crossing 3-5 countries, not crossing the planet to get to the United States. And we all know is because all the freebies. We all know that's what it was. Why they were coming here, because all the freebies. No, we need to cut those freebies out. It's like putting wet pet food out in the driveway every night. Yeah, they're going to keep coming because they get the free damn food in the driveway. You can't tell them not to come when they know there's free food in the driveway. They're going to keep coming. So I'm all for immigration. My family immigrated here 100 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And well, they came through the port. They came through the way it was supposed to be done. I am 3rd generation in the country. My grandmother was first. So, and it was not an easy time for Italians. If you look at how Italians were viewed in this country, and especially in states like Louisiana, the Italians were, the governor said they were lower than the Negro and should be shot on sight. So that's how Italians were viewed in this country. The Irish and English both looked at them like they were, just worthless wet dogs with greasy hair, big noses, whatnot. So it's not our fault we got a better cuisine than the English. Our cuisine is more fresh than the French. It's better than the Irish. Can't help it. We got a great cuisine. I eat Italian every day. At least 350 days a year. And there's some times where it's not Italian. Like I might have a steak or a burger or something. But quit squaring off with ICE. Get out of the way. Let them do their thing. Complain to your elected officials. Let them handle it. Let them handle it. And if you get in their way, you impede them, you're going to find out. And you're not going to like it. And I've always had the opinion that if you do stuff like that to our law enforcement, you should be held to a maximum penalty. No slap on the wrist, no easy bail. No. You going in. I don't know if I can classify it as inciting a riot. Yeah, it's definitely disturbance of the peace. Once you stop protesting and you start damaging property, assaulting or battering people, it's no longer protest. It's no longer protected. It's now a crime. So it's not mostly peaceful while a car is burning behind you. No, don't give me the crap. Don't do it. But squaring back around to the Charlie Kirk deal, yeah, there's still plenty of conspiracy theories going around. Candace Owens is still doing her investigation. A lot of theories and counter theories. All we can go on is what the official story is. He was shot by 22-year-old Mr. Robinson, and he's dead. Okay, and his wife is the CEO of Turning Point. Well, I like to think he's hanging out with Tupac and Elvis. Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe they're hanging out somewhere. I know Elvis is either. If he was in fact faked his death, he's in his 90s now. He was the same age as my close to the age of my grandparents. Yeah, there's a couple years difference. So he'd be late 80s, early 90s. So I don't know if Elvis would still be around if he in fact faked his death. But Tupac and Biggie, who knows? Maybe Tupac and Biggie are hanging out. Maybe Charlie's with him. I don't know. Maybe Michael Jackson's there too, with Prince. Who knows? And George Harrison. And Robin Williams. Maybe they're all, it was all fake. Who knows? But I know there's a lot of theories going around. The FBI is still investigating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So if there's a different official story to come out, it wouldn't surprise me. But until then, that's all I have to go on. So that's just what I'm going to run with. But we all going to have our own versions of it. Some accept it at face value. Some of us go, you know what? Something's just isn't right about that. So that's it. That's the news for today. And the truth, as I always say, the truth is kindness, dignity, respect, and love. That's how we should treat everybody and how we should approach everyone in our life until somebody's respectful of us and they just disqualified themselves from your life and you just go away from them. But please, if you have to defend yourself, do it and do it well. So treat everybody with love, kindness, dignity, and respect. This is This Truth. Thank you, and be well.